Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Magnetic Rise brought to you by Strategnetic. I am your host, Cikizwa A, Vilakazi, and today I'm honored to be joined by a true leader in the world of branding, marketing, and business growth, Michael Doyle. Michael is the CEO and brand champion of Brand Iron, a leading brand consulting and marketing firm that helps organizations create powerful brands and drive significant revenue growth. Michael, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Let's dive right in. Could you start by giving us a brief overview of what Brand Iron does and the core services that you provide to your clients?
Sure. Brand Iron's a full service branding and marketing agency. Everything from developing a brand to developing all the branding assets, marketing assets, as well as doing a digital or go-to-market campaign. But we also kind of have a unique offering where we put together several years ago called capraisedeck.com, where we put together a lot of pitch decks or cap raise decks for companies to pitch their concept or raise capital or even get acquired and sell their business. So that's an important part of what Brand Iron does. And so we work with a lot of not only startup businesses, but we also work with a lot of companies looking to expand and grow and get to the next level, or companies looking to potentially get acquired as well too. So, and we serve all different kinds of spaces, everything from technology companies to real estate investment companies, private equity firms, venture capital firms, a lot of products, a lot of different apps, a bunch of different things. So that's a little bit about Brand Iron, who we are and what we do.
And you've had an incredibly successful career, raising over, if I'm not mistaken, $5 billion for your clients and helping dozens of organizations go public or get acquired. Can you walk us through your journey and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. It all started a long time ago, actually, when I had my previous agency. We worked in primarily the high-tech space. And in the late 90s, one of my clients came to me and said, "Hey, we're getting acquired to go in public. We're going to acquire your company, or how'd you like to get acquired and run our national.com brand for our technology company?" So I sold my firm, and it was a part of an IPO roll-up. And then we reported to Wall Street for a couple of years. And during that whole time, I learned a really valuable skill set of putting together what we call analyst presentations at the time, and where we had to report back to the investors within the company that, made investments within our company. So we put together a analyst presentations, or like a pitch deck, basically reported about how well you're doing, but also how well, what was working, what wasn't working, but also potential future forecasting as well too, of where we're going and new strategies, new financial goals and objectives. So I did that for a couple of years, and when I was all said and done, my time in purgatory was done. I took those skills and said, "Hey, there's another skill set or another product offering we've got here." And so over the last 20 something years now, we've done hundreds of pitch decks. And like you said, we've helped our clients raise quite a bit of money and achieve, their specific goals and objectives over this time.
That's impressive, incredibly impressive. Branding is such a powerful tool for business growth. What do you think is the most important element in creating a brand that not only stands out, but also drives revenue?
Sure. One of my thoughts is that branding's not just about logo or creative or websites. It's also, it's really about a strategy. But branding starts on a firm foundation or a strategic foundation of how do you brand and position your company to achieve your desired goals and objectives. And so you have to take a look at, we're here, we want to get to here. What's the competition look like? What are the products or services like? Who do we have to compete against? But also, what are our differentiators? What are our value points? What's our value proposition? And then how are we going to package that? And how are we going to not only package it, but put together a brand around it? But then what's the implementation strategy going to be? And what's that brand components going to be that's going to allow us to execute on our brand strategy to help us achieve our bigger picture goals and objectives. So our philosophy is a little bit different. It's much more what we call holistic in nature, focusing on the bigger picture business goals and objectives. And what do we got to do to really build upon those foundational strategies in order to build a brand that's going to be not only great looking, cutting edge, and modern, but also going to be highly effective and going to help you reach the bigger picture goals and objectives.
Can you share with us an example of a strong brand that you helped, that where branding helped achieve a greater success?
Yeah, I can. One of my clients right now is a private equity firm we've been working with for about a dozen years now. And we put together and helped him with his initial brand. We put together and helped put together not only that brand, but also his messaging, his positioning, how and why he's better than the competition. And if you know anything about private equity firms, most of them say the same exact thing, and they don't do a very good job of communicating the differentiators, the value points in a value proposition that's different than anybody else in the marketplace. So we were able to help put together that. He's very innovative, and so we've actually put together and helped him together like a go-to-market strategy and how he's going to go out and attract new acquisition targets. But then we also put together, what is that message to acquisition targets, and how do we help put together a winning message that connects with people that are looking for a financial partner. But then also, how do we package and communicate that message to potential investors and communicate that? And so this holistic, when I'm talking about a strategy with this private equity firm, is really taking them to a completely different level. So now we're looking at what they've had quite a few successful exits. They don't have any problem raising capital anymore because the results speak for themselves. And now they're just looking, in fact, we're implementing a growth strategy of how to attract more people we can invest in, and how do we put together an execution plan, and which is very modern for most private equity firms. They aren't very proactive. They don't go out there and look how they could expand and grow and get new deals done. And so that business from the beginning, initial strategy from building their brand, communicating how and why they're different, making it and evolving the brand over a period of time as well too. I mean, we've kind of every so often you got to take a look at the marketplace and say, what do we got to do to continue to evolve and grow? And so we've done that together, and we'll continue to look at how can we leverage technology and how do we can build that into what we're doing. And so we've had a great partnership and relationship over the last dozen years. And you can see now with taking that holistic approach is being able to produce phenomenal results. And it's all about how can we brand and position those companies to achieve the goals and objectives they're trying to achieve. And that's one where I'm so thankful we have a client that is open-minded, but it's not afraid to take a look at how do we implement these strategies, and how do we really use our brand and our strategies for growth and getting to the next level, and how do we produce the maximum results possible together as a team and a partnership.
And it sounds like there are quite a few complexities that go into all your processes. It then makes me wonder, what are some of the common branding mistakes that companies make when preparing for acquisitions, IPOs, things like that, and how could they possibly avoid them?
Well, a lot of them are, they don't have they may have a strategy how to get acquired or go public or raise capital, but most of them don't have a plan to address their brand or address their pitch deck or their capital raise deck. Most of the time it's an afterthought. And so the companies that are they get the best results are using their brand and using like a pitch deck or a capital raise deck, or working with an agency like ourselves in a proactive fashion. They're using their brand in what we call that holistic fashion to put together, say, what are we trying to get to, and how do we brand and position ourselves, and how do we develop the different brand and marketing assets to help us achieve those goals and objectives. And so that preparation, that strategy development, and doing it far enough in advance is critical. We get a call all the time where, hey, we got a pitch coming up in a couple of weeks. We need this great pitch deck or a great capital raise deck. What can you put together in a couple of weeks? It's like, well, it's not going to be great if we only have a couple of weeks. I mean, it's just not gonna be. I mean, so I think the biggest problem is, failing to plan and failing to realize that this is investment. If you put together a little bit of money or make a little bit of an investment, it's going to be it's going to give you a huge return on that investment. And it's going to help set you up for success. Whatever your goal is, whether you're trying to get acquired, raise capital, acquire another company, having a strategy, implementing that, not being afraid to make that investment. All these things are critical. And I want to make sure companies understand the importance of developing that strategy and making the investment. And you'll be glad you did.
It makes me think of the saying, failing to plan is planning to fail.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. What are some of the unique challenges that you face when branding a startup versus a mature company?
There's a couple things. Number one, money's always a challenge for a lot of startups. Is how do they put a little money in order to be able to build up their brand or get started. That's always a big challenge. Another big challenge is same kind of thing, is not planning or not having a strategy and not having a well-refined of the differentiators, the value points and the value proposition, and putting it together into a clear and concise message, but presentation. A lot of them, I mean, we've seen decks that are like 100 pages long, and they have so much content, but they can't boil it down to 3, 4, 5, 6 value points with a really nice tight value proposition. And it's planning to work with a company and do it right in advance of when you really need it is critical for your success. So money's one, having a well-defined strategy, a well-defined niche, that a space where you can own that niche and you can build on that niche is critical for your success.
Okay. Branding and marketing are always evolving with new trends and technologies. It's quite a versatile area to be in.
Yeah.
How do you see branding evolving in the next 5 to 10 years, and what should businesses be doing now to stay ahead of that curve?
Sure. Well, there's a couple of things. Clearly AI is going to be a huge game changer. We see, AI helping out with content, but the problem with AI generated content, like if you're trying to use that for SEO purposes, SEO bans it and says, well, this is all AI generated. So it really doesn't help you there. And so we've seen, I can't tell you a dozen DAX that are AI generated that are horrible because AI can't help package or help you define your differentiators. It can't really help you define your value points and the value propositions that really differentiate you. So there's still a fair amount, not a fair amount, still a lot of strategic planning and strategizing that AI can't do for you. And so I think that one of these days down the road, AI will help you do that, but it's not able. All it does is goes out into the World Wide Web and picks up this content and throws it out or spits it together, but it doesn't help you strategize it. It doesn't help you today, help you refine or package or really build a brand strategy. But it will, but it's a question of when that's going to happen. And so we're seeing, people, quote unquote, being a little bit lazy these days, trying to think that's going to do it for you when it hurts them more than it helps them right now. And in fact, we've seen so many decks where they said, oh, I pitched this AI generated deck and it was a disaster. And so you need to help kind of make this thing, brush it off and make it a lot better. And I said, well, we can, but that doesn't happen overnight too. And you're going to have to invest a little bit of money to, put together and refine that strategy that's going to really get you to where you want to be. So that's going to continue to be a huge, huge thing that is going to continue to evolve and grow over a period of time.
So I take it you then disagree with the people or the articles who think that our jobs are in danger because of AI, or in the near future at least?
Not in the near future.
Mm.
Not in the near future. I mean, I
Okay.
see AI generated content all the time, and I mean, you could just put it online and say how much is AI generate. It'll tell you exactly what the percentage is, and then if you're going to use it for like SEO purposes, you get penalized and say you can't use it. So it really doesn't. In fact, it really hurts you. It costs you a lot more time than it helps you. So
I think
there's some of those things really, it's not there yet, right?
I'm actually happy on behalf of your clients because your confidence would make me, as your client, very confident in the work that you produce for me in that regard.
Well, I mean, you've got to see what you've got to work with, and then if it's
Mm.
there's some things where it could be really helpful. In fact, there's some things where when we're writing an article, you can actually use it as a outline, but then you have to take that outline and still add your own content to it. But it can help you streamline and make things faster, but it can't do the whole thing yet. It's not there yet.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Okay, and now moving away a little bit from the business side, as a
Yeah.
CEO specifically, how do you maintain focus and ensure you're always evolving personally as a leader? Do you have any personal practices or habits that help you stay on top of your game?
Yeah. I mean, we treat ourselves like a client. So that means we have to constantly look at ourselves. We have to constantly look at the competitive landscape. We've got to constantly evolve and grow. Like we just updated the website, but we're also adding a lot more new features and functionality to the website to really it be the best it could be. So we have to continually look at ourselves and say, what do we have to do to grow and get better? What do we have to continue to evolve with the marketplace or with technology or with the competitive landscape? So we look at ourselves as a client and we have regular strategy sessions for ourselves. We have regular analysis about what's working and what's not working. We have regular team discussions about what do we got to do to deliver better brand experiences? How can we speed things up, or how can we deliver a better quality product, or all these things. So I think if you're going to be successful, you can't build a brand and say once it's done, it's done. It's never done. You have to continue to evolve and grow. You've got to take a look at yourselves and say, what can we do each and every day to get better and more refined, better quality, better content, better creative. And so I think that for ourselves and all our clients, we say is you constantly have to continue to evolve and grow and improve each and every day.
That's a very interesting perspective. And I mean, just overall, this conversation has been quite insightful. I'm sure our listeners are going to walk away with a whole new perspective on branding and business strategy, as well as leadership. But before we wrap up, what is one final piece of advice you'd like to share with business leaders or entrepreneurs who are looking to build a brand that truly drives growth and stands the test of time?
Yeah, I think that I ask ourselves the same question, but I think I ask business leaders all the time. If your brand is not the best it could be, someone is going to be that best. If you don't have a competitive position and you're not constantly updating that position, your value points, your value proposition, updating your strategy, updating your tactics. If you're not updating, someone else is going to beat you to it. So you have to constantly improve. And so I try to improve as a person, but I also try to improve as a business leader. I try to improve our brand, our company, our experiences that we deliver. And so I think that you can never stay static. You have to evolve and grow as an individual, as a business leader, and for your own company and your team. You have to continue to look at how can we be better and how can we be more competitive and how can we deliver better results each and every day.
Amazing. Thank you again, Michael, for sharing your incredible knowledge and experience with us today. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. For our listeners who want to learn more, get in touch with you, where's the best place to find you?
You can look at me at brandiron.net, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Michael Doyle with Brandiron.
Okay, there you have it, everyone. Make sure you check out Brand Iron and stay tuned for more inspiring episodes of Magnetic Rise. Until next time, keep rising and leading with intention.